It's not her.
I was trying to tell her she's going to be in trouble.
I'm trying to film. It's my turn to film.
Aww.
She's like, but I want to be a superstar cat. Hello and welcome. I'm very excited for today's video. You see in the title, 5 things that all sighted folk should know. Now, as always, I want to make it clear, this is just from Molly Burke's personal perspective as one individual blind woman, but, you know, take that for what you will. This is just what I've got to say about it. Also, if you're a regular here on my channel, you might be like, Molly, I'm sure I know it all by now. You don't, I promise you. I am definitely talking about some things in this video that I have never put into a list style video before. I'm definitely putting things into this video that you've probably never heard me talk about because I know I haven't talked about some of these things. So buckle in, sit down, have a cup of tea, and learn a little bit, perhaps. I also want to say thank you to Android for sponsoring this video. Some of you might not know this, but for about 3.5 years, I have used a Samsung device to create literally all of my content. I take all of my Instagram photos on it. I film all of my YouTube videos on it. We literally, you're on a Samsung right now. We have 4 Samsung devices kicking around this place. I'm not kidding. We have 4 Samsung devices in this.
Love them.
We love them. It's the best device to create content. And so when I don't have my mom and I'm maybe trying to create content, of course, I need to be able to use a screen reader. So I use what's called TalkBack. TalkBack is Android's solution to helping blind and visually impaired people like myself be able to use a smartphone device. And I'm so excited to share that they've made some amazing updates. Oh my goodness. As I've said, I've been using a Samsung phone to create all my content for like over 3 years now. It has just gotten wildly easier, so much easier to use. The gestures are way more intuitive. Like, it really did make a world of a difference, the updates that they've made to it. So definitely check that out down below. I'm gonna list all of the devices that you can get the new TalkBack on. My personal favorite is the 2-finger double tap, where you can double tap twice to turn media on and off, answer phone calls, end phone calls, all those kind of things. That is probably like my most used finger gesture. So big fan, and I'm so glad that Android has incorporated that now. Look at me change that speech rate. Do any other blind folk change their speech rate like many times in one day? I will link a bunch of information about the updates that TalkBack has, and you can read and learn more for yourself. But you might have noticed over on my Instagram, if you follow me on Instagram, @MollyBurkeOfficial. If you don't, what's up? Come on. We have a lot of fun over there. I make a lot of like IGTVs and exclusive content that doesn't go on any of my other platforms over there, like every single day. So check that out. And you might have been a little confused, my sighted folk watching this, you might have been a little bit confused if you saw this. But my blind folk using TalkBack or any other screen reader will have known exactly what was in that image. So this brings me to point number 1. Blind people enjoy consuming media, including photos, just as much as sighted people do. So it's so important to make your media content accessible. And that includes using alt text, which is what I used on that image. So alt text is available on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So when you post a photo, you're given the option to add alt text, which is a secret description. You'll see that on my Instagram, I use a public photo description. I say #accessibility, and then in brackets, I put photo description. To be honest, I do that because I want accessibility to be a topic of conversation when people come to my Instagram. I want able-bodied people to see that and ask questions. Hey, why do you do that? I like having that conversation. I like having accessibility, being boldly in people's faces who might not usually think about it. By the way, if you want to know what that image was of on my Instagram, you should turn on the screen reader on your phone and play around. However, if that's not something everybody wants to do, alt text is your solution. And I've talked to so many different companies and so many different social media content creators about this and encouraged them to use this. And it's been amazing over the last few years that these features have been available, seeing the increased amount of people using it, but there still is not enough people doing this. Everybody should be using alt text on their social media platforms when posting a photo. This is where you can add a photo description. Now, I'm gonna put some information in the description box below, some articles about adding descriptions and best practices. I have my personal preference, but there's probably actual best practices. So you can add this alt text description and nobody who is sighted scrolling on your feed sees the photo description. That said, the app automatically knows when somebody is using a screen reader and it will read the image description to them. I added alt text to this photo of mine on Instagram just to show you guys what happens. So using TalkBack, I'm just gonna touch the photo and it's gonna tell me what the photo description is.
Photo by Molly Bird. Molly is standing on a dock with Aliah at her side. She is wearing a long sleeve green top with flowing pink pants. She is in a quiet area with no one around. Double tap to activate.
Boom, nailed it. So it's kind of like a secret hidden image description. So definitely recommend using that. In terms of other media, obviously audio description is as good as it gets. I love audio description. I've talked to YouTube a lot over the years about adding an option for people to create secondary audio tracks for audio description, the way that we can add closed captions and choose to have those turned on or off. Hopefully one day that would be amazing, but you know, different streaming platforms like Netflix has it, and it's honestly very hard for me to enjoy consuming content if it doesn't have audio description, and I just straight up can't enjoy content on things like Instagram if it doesn't have an alt text photo description. Number 2, the best way to talk to or interact with a blind person. I get asked this question all the time. Not enough people know, and it's really important because you never know when you're going to have a blind person join your team at work, start attending your school and be in class with you, when you might have a blind date with a blind person. You just never know when you're gonna run into a blind person. Somebody, you're a Starbucks barista and they, walk in to order a coffee. So it's really important. It's a really good thing to know how to best interact with a blind person. Now there's 2 kind of different categories, right? There's the people who don't know me and there's the people who do. So for the people who know me and are gonna see me on a consistent basis, say at work as an example, I prefer for you to say, "Hey Molly, it's Sarah," every single time you talk to me. That way, number 1, I know you're actually talking to me because I can't see that you're looking at me, which is how a sighted person would often identify that somebody is communicating with them. So because I can't see that, I like for you to say, "Hey Molly." So there's no awkward moment where I'm answering and it wasn't for me, or I'm ignoring you because I don't think it's for me. And then saying, "Hey, it's Sarah," make sure that I know who it is every single time, because voice recognition doesn't happen as quickly as face recognition, and we don't have the privilege of seeing your face and getting that facial recognition every time we see you. So saying it's Sarah allows me to continuously hear your name with your voice, and I will eventually learn it. It's also really helpful if you're used to only seeing them in one environment. Say, let's use school as an example this time. Say I only ever see Dylan in science class, and I'm now seeing Dylan in the lunchroom. I would request that Dylan would say, "Hey Molly, it's Dylan from science class." That way, not only do I know you're talking to me and I know who's talking to me, but I know where that person is from. I will often at events have people come up to me and be, "Oh, Molly, we met at VidCon 2 years ago." And I'm like, okay, I meet hundreds of people in the course of the VidCon conference every single year. So it's really helpful when they're like, "This is what we talked about." Like they give me some kind of seed, some kind of nugget that triggers in my brain. So that's very, very helpful. The other thing is if you don't know the person. So say you see somebody out and about in public, you recognize that they are blind and they maybe need help and you want to offer assistance. The best thing that you can do is put your hand on their shoulder so it's not jarring. Please don't grab them, please don't shake them, just lightly put your hand on their shoulder when you say, "Hi, my name is Emily. I noticed that you've been standing here for a while and I just wanted to offer you my help." That is the best thing that you can do. So that is kind of my personal perspective on different ways you can interact with a blind person that might be in your life. Number 3, let's talk about sighted guides. So this is kind of an extension to number 2. This is if you now need to actually assist the blind person to do something like cross the street, Please note, we can cross the street on our own. We're perfectly capable, so we won't necessarily always need that, but I'm not going to say there's never a time when a blind person, including myself, wouldn't need that. So say you see a blind person and need to help them cross the street. Say there is a blind person that's new to school and they're still learning their O&M roots, which is orientation and mobility. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about that, guide dog versus cane, I did a video about that recently, so you can check that out. But say they're still learning their orientation and mobility roots, they might need sighted guide. So sighted guide is the correct way to guide a blind person. When you're offering sighted guide, you offer your elbow. So you're basically becoming the guide dog. You're becoming the cane. Where is our guide dog? Where is our cane? In front of us. When I'm holding the handle of my guide dog, my arm is extended forward. When I'm holding my cane, my arm is extended forward. So under zero circumstances should you ever stand behind the blind person and push them forward, grab their hand and pull them. These are very inappropriate things to do. Also, you are always offering. You are not assuming they need the help and imposing. You are offering, once you've put the hand on the shoulder, hi, I'm Emily, I've noticed you've been here for a while. Can I offer you sighted guide to help you where you need to go? That's the best way you can do it. So when you're offering the sighted guide, as I said, you offer the back of your elbow. The blind person will put their hand right at the top of your elbow around the crook of your arm, and they will stand about 1 foot behind you. As I said, the cane, the dog, that is what you are now essentially becoming or replacing in a certain way. Though that said, the blind person will often still be using their cane while they're doing sighted guide, but not necessarily always. So it's really important to know how to do this. So we're gonna hold the back of your arm and we're gonna stand 1 foot behind you. Now, if there's a narrow space to try to get through, you're 2 people wide, you're not gonna be able to do that. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your elbow and you're gonna put your arm behind your back. That's how we as the blind person know to step behind you. So we're now in a line, instead of kind of wide, we're long. And so we can fit through that narrow space. When it comes to things like stairs, what you're gonna do is you're gonna stop. When you get to the top of a staircase that's going down, you're gonna stop and you're gonna say, okay, we've reached a staircase and we're gonna go down now. If you are going upstairs, you will physically step up onto the first step and you will pause for a moment. They can feel your body moving up and they know that you're approaching a staircase, and you can say, we're now at the stairs. And then they'll know you're about to go up. You don't need to tell us about every single little crack, little bump. You don't have to be super delicate with it. You don't have to be over analyzing what you need to explain to us. Just give us the basics of what you think would be important to know. Number 4, if you're not our doctor or a doctor period, we don't need your medical advice. I can't even tell you how much I get unsolicited medical advice. People asking why I don't wear glasses, telling me I should try LASIK. If glasses would work, I'd wear them. If LASIK would work, I'd get it. The reason I use a guide dog, the reason I use a cane, the reason I use TalkBack, the reason I read Braille is because those aren't an option to me. Your nutritionist cannot help me, your dietitian cannot help me, your naturopath cannot help me. In fact, in some cases, these things can be harmful. So please don't try to impose, unless we're asking for your advice, unless we're asking for you to help or to pray for us or offer these things, please don't just impose those things on us. That's very important. Number 5, we can do it, all right? We can find a way to do pretty much all things. Right now, we can't quite drive yet, that is true, but those self-driving cars are coming, and trust me, we are gonna have a long lineup of blind folks.
You're gonna have a lot of fun.
We are all waiting for that day. It is gonna be a good day for us, for Team Blind. But other than that, we can pretty much do anything. Cook? Yes. Molly? No, but that's a Molly thing, not a blind thing. I always like to make that clear. Molly cannot cook. Most blind people, yes, can cook. We can cook. We can clean. We can do our makeup. We can pick out cute outfits. We can do anything that anybody else can do. We have ways to accommodate ourselves thanks to modern technology and thanks to extensive training that we receive, like orientation and mobility training. Braille lessons, life skills training, all of these things empower us and allow us to live fulfilling lives and to accomplish things that a lot of able-bodied people unfortunately still don't realize we're perfectly capable of accomplishing. So please don't undermine us. And I think this is often the case, you know, why blind people are so, unfortunately, so unemployed. 80%, depending on what country you live in, on average, 80% of blind people are unemployed, and it's not because they don't have college and university degrees. It's not because they aren't qualified for jobs. It's because of discrimination. It's because people still don't realize how capable we actually are and that we know how to accommodate our own disability. We live with this disability every single day. In fact, honestly, I forget I'm blind half the time until somebody reminds me, because doing my makeup without a mirror is normal to me. Pouring hot water using a liquid level indicator and waiting for the beep is normal for me. And so we learn to accommodate our own selves, and we don't sit around thinking about the fact that we're blind 24/7. Perhaps if you're new to the blind community, you know, you're in that acceptance journey, but once you've been living this life for a while, it just becomes your normal. It becomes what you know and what you're used to. And you learn to accommodate, and you learn to do things. As I said, we're perfectly capable of crossing streets without help, because that's what our orientation and mobility training is there for. So yeah, don't underestimate what we're capable of, because we are damn capable. All right, that's all I know. Thank you guys for watching this video. Thank you to Android for sponsoring it. Again, there's going to be a bunch of information linked down below about alt text, about Android's updates, what phones you can find the new TalkBack features on, and more, so check that out. If you want to see my Guy Doug versus Kane video, you can click over here. And if you want to see another video I've done recently, you can click over here. See you next time, guys. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Bye!